My name is Jessica. I'm an educational consultant here at In America Education. Like the rest of our team, we're very, very passionate about education, getting our students off to their future career paths, to the educational institutions of their dreams, and just to their broader pedagogical goals to train them to be the best possible adults that they can be in their later lives. My background in education is that I attended Columbia University for my undergraduate education, and I did my master's in philosophy at the University of Oxford. But my passion lies in education.
我们的主持人呢，Jessica 老师也是我们 In American 的本科教育的在线的咨询顾问。他本科呢毕业于哥伦比亚大学，研究生就读于牛津大学。他对于帮助学生实现自己在教育方面的理想有着非常高涨的热情，所以呢，大家如果有任何的问题，可以随时来咨询他。
Great. Thank you, Shani. And for our presenter tonight, I am very excited to announce our presenter tonight because he is a bit of a celebrity. The fourth longest running champion on Jeopardy. Is that right, David?
As far as I know, yeah.
Okay, good. And you got to meet Alex Trebek, which is cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, the fourth longest running champion on Jeopardy, also the founder and executive director of international academic competitions. And tonight he's going to be talking about the International History Championships and its related affiliates. Yeah.
我们今天的嘉宾呢 ，David， 他现在位于美国的 Vermont。他也是美国一系列国际化的学术竞赛的创始人。他创始了美国历史最悠久的知识竞赛。那同时呢，他今天要介绍的就是他创建的其中一项竞赛——国际历史知识竞赛。
Thank you. And for a few remarks before we get started on David's presentation regarding the history championships and related international academic championships. These are the sorts of programs that we tend to advise for our students in the college preparation process and application process so that they start their college career on the best foot possible. We think it prepares them for teamwork or for competition and leadership, as well as more broadly trains them in history and critical thinking. And in addition, participation in these sorts of competitions raises students' profiles, gives students a selling point on their application, a niche. And so we advise our students towards these sorts of processes. And David will fill us in on how his participation in these types of quizzes and championships helped his admission into Princeton later on.
那么今天呢，我们之所以为同学和家长们介绍这一项知识竞赛，那也是因为呢，参加历史学术的知识竞赛呢，不仅有帮助于同学们展现自己历史的知识储备人文素养，同时呢，也有帮助同学们去训练他们的团队合作意识与能力，为将来的大学的申请做丰富了背景的提升活动，那有助于呢同学们进入自己理想的院校，所以呢，这个也是我们给大家的一些建议。
Awesome. I feel so bad that I can't always understand when you've stopped. You can explain to everyone that I have not yet learned Chinese, but someday.
对 Jessica 说很遗憾不能今天为大家进行双语的直播，那之后呢，相信他会学习一些中文。Okay, I finished.
Okay. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to let David start his presentation on the International History Championships. This will be followed by a question and answer session. During the course of his presentation, feel free to write your questions in the chat. about his presentation, and we'll close out the discussion with some concluding statements. And yeah, good to go. Go for it, David.
Okay, thank you, Jessica. And ni hao. And that's about the extent of my Chinese. But like Jessica, I'd love to learn Chinese too one day. So as Jessica mentioned, my name is David Madden. I'm the founder and executive director of International Academic Competitions. And we organize many different events, including the International History Bee and Bowl and the International History Olympiad. If you want to go ahead and translate that.
Yeah, sure. David Madden 先生呢，他是创立了美国一系列的国际学术竞赛，就像刚才提到过的。那其中对于历史竞赛呢，我们分为2个部分，一个呢是International History Bee， 另外呢一个 International History Bowl。那这是2个不同的竞赛，但是都考察的是学生对历史方面的知识储备。You can continue.
Okay. And before I begin with the PowerPoint portion of the presentation, I just would like to give everybody a little bit of background in terms of how I came to be doing this for my career, and why, to me, it has a very special place in my education and in my life in many different ways. So I started off, in a sense, preparing for these sorts of competitions when I was about 3 years old.
首先呢，在介绍我们的竞赛之前 ，David 呢很想为大家先来分享他自己参与这种学术竞赛的经历。那他呢开始准备像类似的这种学术竞赛呢，是从3岁开始，所以是一个非常早期、长期的准备。Yeah.
Now, we don't run competitions for children quite that young, but whenever as far back as I can remember, I was interested in reading as much as I could. And at a very young age, I started learning about history and geography too, which have always been my 2 favorite subjects. And when I moved into high school, my high school had a quiz team. And I was able to put all of the knowledge that I had learned to good use in the competitions.
在 David 参加这个竞赛的时候呢，一般来说就是对于目前的学术竞赛来说，没有针对这么年幼的孩子开展的竞赛，所以呢，家长们也不需要太焦急。一般来说呢，我们竞赛准备的话，都是从稍年长一些才开始的。那 David 呢，他从很年幼的时候呢，就开始参加相关的学术竞赛。那在高中的时候呢，他参加了学校的知识竞赛的队伍。
My high school was a public high school outside of New York City in New Jersey. And I studied extremely hard in high school. I was very academically motivated, both in my classes, but also for the quiz team. And many days after school, I would go home and study, but not always for my classes, but for the quiz team, because now studying and learning was a game that I really enjoyed. And of course, that in turn helped me with my classes.
那在高中阶段呢，因为 David 参加了学校的这种知识竞赛，所以呢，他的学习经历跟很多其他的同班同学是很不一样的。那在他回到家以后呢，他要为学术竞赛呢进行相关的准备工作，所以呢，他并不是在学习课内的内容，而是去为知识竞赛呢去学习很多课外延展的知识。但是呢，他并不觉得这是一种负担，而相反的呢，他从中得到了很多的乐趣。所以呢，这个也是给其他的孩子们在准备的过程中分享一些经验。如果你确实觉得对于课外的这些探索更加宽广、更加深入的知识呢，感到非常的有兴趣，那说明呢，你也是一个适合参与知识竞赛的孩子。OK。
And being on the quiz team for my high school gave me an opportunity to study all sorts of different subjects. History and geography were my favorite 2 subjects, but I learned about everything from geology to opera to poetry, to all different subjects so that my quiz team could do very well. And what made this different from the studying I did in high school for my classes was that this information, in order to succeed in the quiz tournaments, went into my long-term memory. Most of what I studied in high school, I don't remember for my classes. That's just true for everybody. It's impossible to remember all of the information that you have an examination on. But to succeed in the quiz tournaments, you have to get it into your long-term memory because it comes up again and again and again. And because of that, I remember about 90% of what I studied for the quiz tournaments when I was in high school, even if now I probably remember less than 10% of what I specifically learned in my classes.
David 在分享呢，他参加这个竞赛的过程中，虽然他最感兴趣的2个学科呢是地理以及历史，但是呢，他在准备竞赛的过程中，其实学到了很多不同的学科的知识。同时呢，这些知识90%以上的知识呢，都在竞赛的过程中呢，储备在了他的常识记忆中。所以呢，他虽然现在呢，可能对于科内的很多知识都已经忘记了，但是呢，竞赛准备的这些知识，大多数都伴随他未来的人生。Okay.
And this approach to knowledge has so many benefits. Obviously, getting into college and doing well in college is one of them. But think about it this way. If you're planning a trip to Europe or North America and you want to know what is worth seeing, knowing some history and knowing geography can help with that. Imagine you're in college and you're talking with a professor about a given topic, or if you're looking for a topic to write a research paper on. If you already have the background knowledge in your head for any subject, whether history, science, geography, literature, having that base of information will help you to go farther. And that's one of the things that we really encourage the students who compete in our competitions to focus on.
那同时呢，在我们即将进入的大学中呢，那我们学到的这些竞赛知识依然对我们大学很有帮助。当我们呢在跟教授交谈的过程中，我们这些背景知识的积累将影响我们的谈吐，影响我们对于不同的话题的理解。那这样呢，也可以给大学的教授呢留下非常深刻的印象。同样呢，作为一个教育咨询师呢，那我从老师的角度也觉得这个对于同学们升学的时候呢，进行面试以及文书的写作都大有裨益。
Okay. So in addition to being able to make sense of the news, plan a trip, talk to a professor, consider how something I learned for the quiz team had a very different impact on my life. I would imagine all of you remember the date August 8th, 2008, because it was the night of the opening ceremonies of the Beijing Olympics. Now, after that took place, I was living in Vienna, Austria at the time, and I went out to a party where I met my future wife. And at the party, my wife, who was French, and I said hello to each other. And then we asked each other where we were from. And I said the USA, and she said France. And then I said, oh, that's great. Where in France? And she said, the eastern part. Now you have to imagine that as an American overseas, many people don't expect you to have much knowledge of history, geography, and foreign cultures. But when I said, oh, not just the eastern part, but you mean Alsace? She said, oh, you've heard of Alsace. And I said, of course, Alsace-Lorraine was an important region in European history, and it's near Germany. And she said, oh, that's wonderful. And that's how we got to talking, and that's how I met my wife. And now we've been married for the past 9 years.
对于知识竞赛的准备呢，也很大的影响了David 的人生。那其中呢，就包括他的婚姻方面的发展。那他在法国呢，遇到了自己的妻子。那由于呢，他对于法国的人文历史方面的深入了解，所以他的谈吐呢，赢得了这个妻子当时的赞许，所以呢，也为他们后来走入婚姻的殿堂奠实了坚定的基础。所以呢，可以见得在这个知识竞赛的准备中呢，不仅影响的是一场知识竞赛的荣誉，那同时呢，也影响到了学术生活方方面面的发展。
So you never know where something you may learn can come in handy later on in your life. So, to go back to my own personal story, as I mentioned, one of the other main benefits of competing and succeeding on my high school's quiz team was that it helped me get into Princeton. By the time that I was a senior in high school, I was one of the top quiz players in the entire USA. And that was certainly something that I put on my Princeton application for admission. And it's certainly something that helped me gain admission.
David 在大学申请的时候呢，成功得到了普林斯顿大学的录取。这个我们都知道是非常困难的，并且是挑战非常的，激烈的一个成果。那在大学的申请中呢，他就详细的去描述了他对于这个知识竞赛的参与，以及在其中呢收获的一些荣誉，包括他个人的发展。所以这个也为他赢得了普林斯顿的录取。
And while I was at Princeton, as is the case at most American universities, I actually had to study many different subjects. My main subject was international relations, and my minor, or my next largest subject, was German. I actually spent time as an exchange student in Austria when I was in high school, and I am now, even to this day, fluent in German. But what's interesting to note about Princeton compared with my public high school is that by the time I got to Princeton, my academics were actually not difficult. The coursework I took in Princeton to me was largely easier than how I had pushed myself in high school. And a large part of that I attribute to the fact that I had such a great base of knowledge when I even started at Princeton. And that made getting A's in my courses there much easier.
David 分享到了呢，在进入大学以后，普林斯顿以后呢，他发现呢，普林斯顿的课程对于他来说并不是那么的挑战性，所以呢，在每门课中呢拿到 A 这个分数呢，对他来说并不是特别的困难。那作为一个教育咨询老师呢，我们都知道很多学生在进入到顶尖的美国名校以后，会遇到很大的一个学术障碍，因为呢同学们都非常的优秀，课程呢也非常的晦涩。所以呢，可能会出现一定的落差。但是可以看出呢，在进行了知识竞赛的准备以后呢，David 提前在高中阶段就已经得到了学术方面的充分的锻炼，所以这个也帮助他大学呢适应学术方面的种种的挑战。
When I entered Princeton, I also thought I would spend a lot of time competing on Princeton's quiz team, as Princeton, like basically every top American university, has a quiz team. And we competed against Harvard and Yale and MIT and many other good schools. But there was just one problem. A student the year ahead of me has been universally regarded as the best ever history and geography quiz player in the history of American quiz competitions at universities. So I quickly realized that I was a bit of an extra on the team because my teammate, who later became my friend, was even better than I was. So after a few years, I focused my attention in extracurricular activities away from the quiz team, and I ended up running Princeton's largest student-run business and realized I wanted to be an entrepreneur.
在普林斯顿期间呢，David 继续参与了普林斯顿的学校的 学术竞赛团队。每个顶尖的美国的院校呢，他们都有自己的知识竞赛团队。但是呢，在参与的过程中呢，David 发现队伍中呢有另外一位队员呢，他已经连续几年获得了知识竞赛的冠军。所以呢，这个让 David 意识到他可能在队伍中呢，并不是中流砥柱的作用。所以呢，他转而呢去做了其他的项目。那其中呢，最重要的就是他做了自己的创业项目，也成为了普林斯顿学生运营的最大的这种创业项目。那为他之后呢，做这种创业方面商业创业做出了奠定了基础。
Awesome. So because we have another presentation within the next at the end of the hour, should we move on to the slides and the competition?
Sure.
Or-
But give me just 2 more minutes to
Go for
explain
it.
how it all came full circle.
Okay.
Okay. So after having graduated from Princeton, I went to do graduate studies in Berlin, Germany. And while I was there, with the money that I had saved up from running the student-run business, I took a trip to California, and my friend and I tried out for the American quiz show Jeopardy.
在大学毕业以后呢，David 呢参与到了这个去德国进行了深造。那他用呢在本科的时候呢创业攒下的基金呢进行了一项旅行。在这个旅行的过程中呢，他跟朋友一起创建了一个知识竞赛。Yeah, you can go.
Okay. By the way, you may have seen my parakeet Maui perch on my shoulder. She's flying around, so don't get distracted by her. But anyway, I did very well on the quiz show. And with the earnings I had from that, I established what was first the National History Bee and Bowl, which were 2 history competitions in the USA. But since I did that in 2010, we have expanded across the world. And now our main organization is called International Academic Competitions.
那也就是在这个契机下呢，David 呢，他创建了我们开始提到的2项历史竞赛，那也是美国呢历史最悠久的历史竞赛。那这2项竞赛呢，现在统称为国际历史奥林匹克竞赛。然后它现在的覆盖范围呢，也是漫步了全球的多个国家。
Okay, great. So now let me share with you all a bit more information about the competitions that we run. So I have a presentation here, and if we can put the screen sharing on so I can show that to all of you.
接下来 David 将为我们分享一些关于历史竞赛的相关的信息。那感兴趣的同学呢，如果想要报名的话，可以接下来留意我们分享的一些竞赛相关的信息。
Okay, so let's just switch into slide view here. Okay, so I'm primarily going to talk about what we call the International History Bee and Bowl, which is what we call our main history competitions outside the USA. Within the USA, we call them the National History Bee and Bowl. Easy enough. So what is a history bee and what is a history bowl? It's very simple. Both are history quiz competitions. The bee is for individual students. The bowl is a team event.
那我们刚才反复提到呢，有2项这个比赛，一个叫做 History B， 一个叫做 History Bowl。那它们的区别是什么呢？正如我们 PPT 上展示的，那 History B 呢是个人赛，而 Bowl 呢为团体赛。Yeah, you can go.
And by complete coincidence, while I am giving this presentation, our annual Asian Championships of the International History Bee and Bowl are beginning.
Yeah, so 这个历史竞赛呢是2010年开始的，那它也可以作为呢孩子们参加这种历史竞赛的一个起点。Yeah, you can go. Hi.
Now this year, because of COVID, our Asian Championships are taking place online. Most of our tournaments in Asia this past year also took place online, and all of our tournaments in the USA did. However, within China, there were a few tournaments that were held in person, including one in Shanghai and one in Guangzhou.
今年因为疫情影响呢，绝大多数全球的历史竞赛呢都转为了线上进行。那在国内呢，我们有包括上海广州的2场呢，那还是在线下进行的。所以感兴趣的学生呢，可以进行具体赛事的了解。
Okay. And you'll also see on the slide that we also organize the International History Olympiad every 2 years. That's our world championship level event. And I'll say a few more words about that shortly.
每2年呢，我们会进行全球的奥林匹克竞赛，也就是总决赛。那接下来我会进行更多相关的信息分享。Yeah, you can go ahead.
So this next slide should give you an idea of the scope of our competitions. We have had participating students from all over the world, including many cities in China and almost all of the states in the USA.
在现在的 PPT 上呢，为大家展示的是所有的历史竞赛的参赛城市，那包括几乎美国所有的州，以及中国的成都、广州、上海、沈阳、北京、深圳、香港和台北。Yeah, you can
Okay.
go.
Worldwide, we split our competitions into different divisions based on geography. So within the USA, it's referred to as the National History Bee and Bull. And within the USA, where the majority of our tournaments take place, we have over 150 tournaments each year. But we also have many tournaments in Canada, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, and all over Asia.
以下呢是我们各个赛区的划分。那家长和学生们可以根据自己所处的地理位置，申报相关的比赛。Yeah.
Okay. Many of the top-ranked high schools in the United States and many great schools in China also compete in our competitions. I imagine that you can read better about the schools that compete in China, but within the US, some of the top schools include Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology, which has usually been rated the #1 school in the USA. Many other top schools, including Lakeside School, where Bill Gates went, and also Phillips Exeter, Phillips Andover, and the others that you see here are just a small sample of the other schools as well.
那现在 PPT 上呢，就为大家陈列了美国赛区跟中国赛区，在过往的比赛中呢，取得了非常好成绩的院校。那孩子们呢，可以看看有没有你们所在的学校。Yeah.
Okay. We also split our competitions into different age divisions. On the screen here, you can see the varsity division, which is for the last 2 years of high school. Internationally, it's based off of a birth date cutoff because different countries have different grade systems. The junior varsity division is for students who are 2 years younger than that. But we also have middle school division, which is for all students who are younger than that. There is no younger age limit to compete in our competitions. We have had students as young as 7 compete, but the vast majority of students are in 7th grade through 12th grade or aged 12 to 18.
现在 PPT 上呢，为大家陈列的呢是我们比赛中的年龄分区。那可以看到呢，有高中区和高年级组和低年级组。那同时呢，对于初中的学生来说，如果各方面条件足够优秀的话，也是可以参加的。在过往的比赛中呢，最小的年龄的参赛者呢为7年级，但是呢，绝大多数的学生呢还是在我们 PPT 上所展示的年龄段之间的。
Our overall format, though, works the same way all over the world. There are regional tournaments that take place. These don't require prior qualification. Anybody can just take part. Then we have our championships. If you finish in the top half at the regional tournaments, in either the History B as an individual or the History Bowl as a team, then you qualify for the championships. There are several regional tournaments that students can compete in each year as well. So if you don't qualify at the first event, you can take another shot at it later in the year. The championships are held in the spring. Our US national championships takes place just outside Washington, DC. And our Asian championships takes place in Thailand in most years. Then we have the History Olympiad. So if you finish in the top half at the regional championships, or if you finish in the top quarter already at the regional tournaments, you can qualify for the International History Olympiad, where you don't represent your school, but you represent your country. Or if you're a student in the USA, you represent your US state.
在历史竞赛中呢，我们分为3个级别的比赛。区入围赛呢，开放给所有的学生。如果呢在入围赛中呢，取得了胜利的话，就可以成功的晋级到区域的决赛。那区域的决赛呢，一般是由一定的队伍去组成。那在区域的决赛中呢，如果名列前茅，比如说得到前25%的名次的话，那就可以呢有获得资格进入到了代表国家或者是所在州的队伍去参加最后的总决赛。
Okay. This is just one photo from our high school national championships. Next year, it will once again be held at the Crystal Gateway Marriott in Arlington, Virginia. This photo is from a few years ago, of course, when we were able to hold tournaments in person.
接下来呢 ，David 会为大家展示呢，在不同的赛区的过往的一些比赛的场景。这也是我们几年前的总决赛的一张照片。Yeah, you can go.
Okay. Our Asian Championship site is even nicer, and we'll be back there in 2022 and in 2023. This is the beautiful JW Marriott Resort and Spa in Khao Lak, which is about an hour north of Phuket in southern Thailand.
David 提到呢，在过去的几年中呢，美国赛区的总决赛呢，往往在华盛顿举行，而亚洲赛区的总决赛呢，往往在泰国举行。那这个就是我们当时决赛场地的照片。Yeah.
It's a beautiful resort right on the beach with lots to do, and families are very welcome to attend. Sometimes students attend along with a teacher from their school. Sometimes students just come with their parents. Either is fine with us.
那学生呢，在参赛的时候呢，可以选择以学校为单位前往参赛场地，也可以呢跟随自己的家人，以家庭为单位呢进入参赛场地。
Okay. And our International History Olympiad is held every 2 years in a location of historical importance. The slide you see here was taken from our 2018 International History Olympiad, which was held in Berlin. Our closing championships, which were about to begin after this picture was taken, were held in the former palace of Frederick the Great, one of the rulers of Prussia.
在每隔2年一次的国际历史奥林匹克的总决赛呢，决赛举办的地点呢，往往是具有特殊的历史意义的一个地点。那这个呢，也是我们之前呢在加拿大选择的一个执政官的他的住所，进行了这个历史决赛的举办。
Okay. So that's the end of our slides, but I'd like to show you a few more things quickly before we have a chance for the questions and answers. So you may be wondering what our quiz questions actually look like. You may think of a quiz question as something very simple. What is the capital of China? Or who was the first president of the USA? But our questions actually involve much more critical thinking. They tend to be paragraph-based, like the two that you see here, where the answers are Zeus and Greenland. But I want you to take a quick look as to how these questions are structured. You'll see that in the paragraphs,
they cannot see the sample questions.
Okay, is the screen sharing active at the moment?
It's sharing your slides instead of the question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Possible to just exit out of the
Yes,
slideshow?
you can exit out of the slideshow and then you'll get back to your browser.
Oh, okay. Hang on one second.
David 在给我们准备分享一些历届的这个历史竞赛的真题。那这些题目呢，它可以从最基础的一些历史的知识性问答，延展到包括一些段落的一些比较长的文字问答题。那接下来他会给我们进行展示。那基础的历史知识的题目就包括很简单的，包括国家的首都或者是总统的名字等等。那现在屏幕上我们展现的呢是比较难度高一些的这种段落性的一种问答题。Yeah, we can see your screen now.
Okay, great. So you see the questions are paragraph length, and they become easier as the questions go on. So for example, you'll see that Zeus is from Greek mythology. Greenland is a geographical answer. One thing we like to say is that everybody loves history, even if you don't think you do, because every subject has its own history. And we like to show that in our questions. So at the start of the question, you might not be sure what we're going for. But if you listen for key words and start thinking about what a possible answer might be, then you can get an answer in your mind. And when you're confident enough, you can ring in with the buzzer. And I'll show you what that looks like in a second.
那现在屏幕上展示的题型呢，是给我们一个比较长的一个段落，去描述某一个历史事件或者人物。那学生需要根据呢这个描述去逐渐缩小范围，然后最初给出正确的答案。Yeah.
But we have questions on the history of all subjects, from the history of religion to the history of science, history of the arts, and of course, political and social and cultural history.
出题范围呢会涵盖文化、艺术、历史、政治等等各方各面，所以它呢是一个对孩子的社会学科的一个综合的考察。
Okay, so this is what it looks like in practice. So this is me reading questions at a competition, and each student has a buzzer. And when they think they know the answer, they ring in with the buzzer, and then they have a chance to answer the question. If they are incorrect, then the other students get a chance to answer. But if they're correct, the question ends, and the student who is correct gets the points.
这个是一场比赛的现场，那这场考试的主考官呢，就是我们 David 先生。那每个学生呢，他会有一个抢答器，按下抢答器以后呢，学生可以给出正确答案，由考官进行判别正误。Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea as to what this looks like in practice. The more points you score, of course, then you can advance to the playoffs and potentially become the champion if you have the winning score at the end of the competition.
那在比赛的最后呢 ，David 会给出相应的分数，然后来决定最终的胜者。Yes, you can go ahead.
Okay. And finally, I will show you a few of our websites. And this can also give you a better idea of all the different competitions that we offer. Okay, so just one second.
接下来 David 会我们看一下我们的比赛的官方的网站。那如果有家长和学生们想要报名的话呢，就从这个网站直接去进行报名就可以了。
So our main website, from which you can reach all the other websites, is iacompetitions with an s.com. So that's short for international academic competitions. Then you just go to the region that you're located in. If you're in the USA, just highlight the USA and you'll see the menu about more information in the US. If you're in Asia, you can just click on Asia, and that gives you an overview of all of our different competitions in Asia, including the International History Bowl, the International History B, the International History Olympiad, but also the International Geography B, the International Academic Bowl, the Sports and Entertainment History B, and our new International Science B as well.
这个就是我们考试报名的这个网站，那同学们可以根据上面的指示进行相关考区的报名。
Okay, and again, just go to iacompetitions.com and you can read more about that. ihbbasia.com is our main site for our International History B and Bowl in Asia.
其中呢，如果孩子们呢要报名亚洲考区的话，我们专门有这样的一个网页进行亚洲考区的报名。
Okay. I mentioned earlier that our championships for Asia are beginning right now, in fact. My staff is running those, so I can be with you. But if you look on this page, which is accessible under championships and then who's attending, you can get a good sense of where the schools are who are competing in this year's Asian Championships. Some of the top schools in Asia are competing, including, for example, Hwa Chong Institution in Singapore, Seoul Foreign School in Korea, Sha Tin College in Hong Kong, and many top schools in China. You can see Shanghai, Guizhou, Shenzhen, and many other cities here.
现在呢，亚洲区的比赛呢刚刚开始。那如果同学们感兴趣的话，可以留意各个分考区。那如果你们晋级的话，就可以见到 David 本人。
For students in the USA, at the high school level, just go to historybowl.com and you'll find out more information about the high school level tournaments in the USA. Note that the website is historybowl.com, since the bowl, the team event, is a larger event at the high school level, but we do have the B at the high school level as well. And that's explained on historybowl.com.
所有呢，对于考试比赛年龄相关的条件限制呢，都在网上有所解释，大家可以依据网上的信息进行报名。
Awesome. And then
one other thing I should mention really quickly is that thousands upon thousands of our past questions are available for free on the website. So if you go to resources and go down to study guides and past questions, you can find all of those to practice with.
所有的往年的真题呢，也在网上呢有所呈现，所以同学们呢可以在网站上查找真题。
The main website for middle school students in the USA is nationalhistoryb.com or just historyb.com. And that again focuses on the B and the bowl at the middle school level, but at the middle school level in the USA, the B is the larger event.
Okay, so David, I think we have lots of questions from the audience.
Yep.
So one question is this competition, how important is that for college application? And is that especially useful for liberal art college application, or it can be useful for all those universities and colleges?
Sure, that's a great question. At some level, that's up to the college admissions officers, but to let you know a little secret, I also do college admissions interviews for Princeton. I interview students internationally, specifically, and it's very important for students internationally and also within the USA to have many different academic activities, including outside the classroom. If students can show that they qualify for the regional championships or for the International History Olympiad. You can see that the next one will be in Quebec City next summer. Then, of course, that's a great accomplishment. And if they win a tournament or medal at the International History Olympiad, that says a lot to admissions officers about a great accomplishment, not just within your school, but within perhaps all of Asia or the USA.
那下面呢，我们进入到了 Q&A 的环节。那刚才呢，我针对我们聊天室中的问题呢，对 David 进行了发问。那刚才有家长问到呢，参加历史竞赛对于申请名校，或者是文理学院的话，它的重要性。那其实呢，并不是参加历史竞赛仅对申请文理学院就更好，那它广泛的适用于所有的美国名校的申请。David 本身呢，他也是普林斯顿的面试官那他在他过往的经历中呢，他知道这种课外的学术的成果对于筛选学生来说是一个非常重要的衡量标准。其中呢，如果在学术竞赛中获得了奖项的话，那这是一个非常能够体现孩子学术能力的一个指标，那也能够帮助学生呢在这种异常激烈的竞争中脱颖而出。
And as you can also see from the list of schools that compete in our competitions that I had showed, college admissions officers at all of the top American universities are familiar with our programs because many of the top students at the top schools end up applying to these colleges like Princeton and Harvard and Stanford, and they cite these as some of their top accomplishments on their applications.
那我们在看很多成功的申请的美国名校的案例中，也可以看到他们呢都非常着重的去包含了他们参加学术竞赛的经历。所以不管是从 David 的角度，还是从我们作为教育咨询的角度来讲，参加学术竞赛对于孩子们的申请都是非常重要的。And the next question for David is that because students usually have very limited time outside of the class, so how should they make best use of their time to prepare for those competitions? So
Sure.
it's more about time management.
So one of the great things is that you can prepare for our competitions in class and outside of class, and even doing things where you might not think you're preparing, like reading a newspaper or having a discussion with your family about a topic in history or geography or other subjects. But to get really good at our competitions, the best approach is to both study the past questions, which are free and available on our websites, but also think about the sort of topics that we might ask about, even if you haven't studied them in your classes. For example, you may have never taken a course in European history, but you may have heard who Napoleon was. Do you know a thing or two about Napoleon? If you do, you can probably get the points when Napoleon comes up as the answer to a question. Same thing goes for Asian history. Within China, for example, if you know who Sun Yat-sen was or Deng Xiaoping, those are possible answers to questions that we can ask about. But do you know who these people are? Do you know what they are famous for and why they matter? If you know even just a little bit about some of the major topics in history, that will give you a great advantage to being able to score many points in our competitions.
刚才家长们呢很多都问到了，就是说考试的知识范围以及呢时间上如何去准备。那首先呢，从 David 举的例子中，我们可以看到所涵盖的知识呢是方方面面的，包括了各个国家的历史、政治、文化等等。因为呢包含的范围呢如此的广泛，那所以呢孩子们呢并不是依赖一个固定的时间去准备这些知识，而是呢鼓励孩子利用自己碎片化的时间，在生活中呢去拓展自己的知识面。比如说呢，可以通过报纸、新闻的一些阅读，及时的去积累相关的知识点，或者呢跟家人去讨论一些相关的时政的 要闻，那这些呢都很帮助呢孩子提升自主学习的能力，也同时呢能够通过碎片化的时间呢去拓展自己的知识范围。那另外一个建议呢，就是还是通过我们网络上的官网上的这种真题的学习呢，去了解过去呢我们考出的一些知识点，那能够更加有方向的去进行竞赛的相关的准备。
One other thing to mention is that if you are competing in the History Bowl, the team event, there are 4 students who play together on a team at once. So it might be useful to have one student prepare with European history, another student to prepare with the history of the Americas, another student can prepare with the history of China or Asia, and the 4th student can perhaps prepare on the history of Africa or ancient history or some other way of dividing the questions. That way, everybody can be efficient and you can approach the tournament with not just your own preparation, but the preparation of your teammates.
因为在竞赛的后半段呢，我们多依赖的呢，更加是团队的合作。所以在这个时候呢，David 给出的建议呢，就是孩子们呢，术业有专攻，有所分工，进行团队配合。每个孩子呢，更着重于某一个方面的历史知识的准备，那这样更有利于团队取得最终的胜利。Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay. Are there other questions or?
Shani, did you see any
I
other?
think that's almost all the questions. Thank you.
Okay, so to close it out, if people have further questions about the International History Championships, please just sign up through the QR code onto our WeChat or go to our website and get added in that way and reach out to one of our assistants. And just more broadly speaking, we'd love to have you get involved with our organization in America, and we can help guide the process towards competitions like these. If you're a student or if you're the parent of a student, we'd be happy to guide you in this process. And thank you so much, David. That was a very, very interesting, very comprehensive presentation. I did a lot of Google Translate during the presentation, and I saw a lot of positive comments.
Great. 谢谢。
非常感谢 David 的分享。那在这个过程中，如果大家呢对比赛还有更多的问题，那欢迎呢添加我们的小助手也欢迎呢扫码进群。那我们接下来呢后续会为大家的问题进行更多的解答。那我们在这个session 之后呢，后面还有另外一个讲座的讲解，那请大家不要离开。那我们接下来呢休息几分钟，欢迎大家继续回来。那还是在这里感谢 David 今天精彩的讲座。Thank you, David.
Thank you. 谢谢。
And my favorite part personally was your parakeet.
He made a cameo appearance.
He made a cameo appearance. Shani, you're free to translate before I move on to our break period.
Yeah, you can go on.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to take like a 4-minute break between the end of this presentation and the start of our next partner, which is Kiru Knowledge. I'd like to say a big thank you again to David. If you want to do a round of applause, you can. And David, you are more than welcome to stay and see our next presenter, Kiru Knowledge, which is a really, really compelling organization focused on service and leadership and based in China.
Great. Thank you so much, Jessica. And just one last word. Next weekend, I'll be presenting more about our geography and science competitions. So if you're interested in those subjects as well, you can check out my presentation next weekend, and Jessica will let you know the time and how to access that.
Yeah, just get signed up, get signed on to our WeChat, in America's WeChat, go to our website, get in contact with us, and we will loop you right in.